Hello, welcome to a GMAT questions explained. Today we have an equation question, and the question goes, the product of two negative numbers is 160. If the lesser of the two numbers is 4 less than twice the greater, what is the greater number? And the answer options we have is minus 20, minus 16, minus 10, minus 8, and minus 4. Now, the way this question is worded is kind of overcomplicated. And what we want to do is we want to just write down what the question is telling us to kind of simplify and clarify the question. Now, let's take the first part. The product of the two negative numbers is 160. Essentially, we have two numbers. Let's call them A and B. The product of them, so we times them together, gives you 160. And it is also worth noting that they're both negative. So A and B is less than 0. Now, the second part is the part where you might need to read it a few times to kind of really get what it's trying to tell you. If the lesser of the two numbers is 4 less than twice the greater. So let's pick out some information first. So essentially, it says there's a lesser number and a greater number. In other words, there's one number, A or B, that's smaller than the other. So let's start by assuming A is the smaller one. So let's assume A is the smaller number, in other words, the lesser, thereby making B the greater. And let's then look at this again. So if the lesser of the two number is, so the lesser of the two number is whatever it is telling you afterwards, that means that the lesser A is, which means equals 4 less generally just means minus 4. So you're taking 4 from wherever it is less of. 4 less of 10 is 10 minus 4. So 4 less of what this is minus 4. Then twice the greater. Now, what is twice the greater? That's just 2 times the greater number. In this case, B is the greater number. So you are taking 4 away from 2 times B. So essentially what we're saying is that the lesser A is 2B minus 4. So from here, the question should look a lot simpler. Essentially, you have two equations, A times B equals 160 and A equals 2B minus 4. And we want to solve for the greater number. What is the greater number? That is B. So we want to solve for B. Now, looking at these two equations, we can see that we have two equations with two variables. So we want to do simultaneous equations. And we can essentially substitute this equation into this to get an equation with just B and solve that. So let's do that. A times B equals 160. Now, since A is 2B minus 4, we can replace this A here with 2B minus 4. So instead of A times B, I now have 2B minus 4 times by B equals 160. Now, I'm not going to expand this yet. I actually want to factor this out slightly. So 2B minus 4 is the same thing as 2B minus 2 times B equals 160. So I can then divide both sides by 2 to get B minus 2 times B equals 80. Now, from here, we actually have two ways of solving this equation. So first way, we're going to do it by trial and error. So you have B minus 2 times B equals 80. What this means is you have two numbers. One is 2 less than the other. Times together gives you 80. So we can do some trial and error and try to figure out what two numbers times together to give you 80. So it is worth noting as well, obviously, both these numbers has to be negative because obviously B is negative, less than 0. So let's say, for example, what times together give 80? You have, for example, minus 4 and minus 20. So 4 times minus 20 gives you 80. But these two numbers are not 2 apart, so this doesn't work. Or we could do just keep going. For example, you can have, minus 8 times minus 10 times together give 80, and they are 2 apart. So you have minus 10 times minus 8 equals 80. essentially that is minus 8 minus 2 times minus 8 equals 80. In other words, b equals minus 8. And voila, you're done. Now the other option, or my preferred option, is to actually solve this equation outright. So second option is to solve the equation. So you have b minus 2 times b equals 80. We're going to expand the bracket to get b times b equals b squared, minus 2 times b equals 2b equals 80. Taking 80 from the other side gives us b squared minus 2b minus 80 equals 0. And here we have a quadratic equation. So we have bracket b equals 0. And you want to find two numbers that times together to get you minus 80, add together to give you minus 2. Very similar to kind of what we've done here. You have obviously minus 8 and that's plus 8 and minus 10. So plus 8 times minus 10 gives you minus 80, plus 8 minus 10 gives you minus 2. So that means b plus 8 equals 0, or b equals minus 8, or b minus 10 equals 0, b equals 10. Now, we know this can't be possible because b has to be negative. So that gives us b equals minus 8 as the correct answer. As you can see, that means that from both methods, we get to the answer D of b equals minus 8. And we're done solving the equation. So that is it for solving the question. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you for watching.